I think we are recording. Maybe so. Well, good morning or afternoon, depending on whenever you're watching this on our YouTube channel.
Whenever this downloads.
Whenever it downloads, right? So, we are on the road as always, ministering and on the go. So we kind of have to film when and where we can. But it's been a good week. We've got a lot of exciting things coming up. Got the outreach starting back up next week.
Yep.
The 8th. We're excited about that. A lot of people have been asking us about it and stuff. So we got to get a few things in order for that. But I mean, we're going to make it happen no matter what now that we've got a place secured.
Sure.
So, what else is going on? What am I missing?
I don't think anything.
That was it. Well, praise God. Well, we wanted to get on here this morning and talk about something. Something came up, and I was like, oh, wow. Me and Jennifer have been there, done that a bunch of times. And so, I thought, what an awesome opportunity to dive into it. And we're going to just free roll this and see where the Holy Spirit takes it. But the thing that popped up is when God gives you a new beginning, do not make old mistakes. And it's funny because we were just talking about that not very long ago, about how we keep repeating the same thing over and over and messing up, and like, why do we do that? Why in the world? And we were talking to ourselves. We're like,
Yes.
why do we keep doing this? You know, we get a new start, and we get rolling, and then the devil throws in something, and we repeatedly make the same mistakes and fall, I guess you would say, or not really fall. I mean, we didn't twist back off and go back to drinking and drugs and nothing like that. But I mean, we don't handle it properly. We don't go in and attack it in the way that we read our Bibles and it says to attack it.
Right. I think we get so caught up in maybe being hurt. We allow people to hurt us. So in turn, that goes to God hurting you, which is never the case. I think we just allow our flesh to get in the way, especially if we're told no or not right now. And so it's like you just keep going back down the same path, the same circle over and over and over again. Instead of doing what you're supposed to do, turn around and just keep going and pushing. We get discouraged, I think, a lot of times.
Oh, I know we get discouraged. I mean, we're flesh, and you know, Paul talks about it a lot in his ministry, about the things he wanted to do, he didn't, and the things he didn't want to do, he did. And, you know, we have to always remember that we are human, and we're not always going to get it right. But it's the effort, I think, that makes the difference. I always used to tell people, and I still do, God knows your heart. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. But as long as you're trying to do the right thing. But I think we make the same old mistakes because we're not trying. I think we're reverting back to our comfort zones. And we're reverting back to that retreat mentality, I think, is what happens instead of a fight mentality. And, you know, all the time you hear of people doing heroic things and you're thinking, man, I wish I could be like that, or I wish I could have those opportunities to shine or whatever. And truth of the matter is, they may not be the same as the news stories that come on, but we're given those chances to shine on a regular basis in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
But we choose to be what's comfortable. It's like I was sharing with our daughter the other day when we were discussing some things concerning her direction and her calling and things like that. And I said, you know, we talked about this in our last episode or two, which was John 14:12, when he says, verily, verily, I say unto you, these things that I do will you do also. and greater things than these will you do, because I go to the Father. What he was referring to is, we don't have to wait around and go find him anymore like everybody had to. Those people at that particular time, they were having to find him or find where he was going to be. And go find him to receive a healing or a word healing, like he was doing there for a time being with certain people, or the lady that just touched his garment, things like that. And what he's saying is, like, it's to your benefit that I'm going to go sit down at the right hand of the Father, and I'm going to send you that Comforter, that Holy Spirit that he says in 16 and 26 of John's 14th chapter. He says, it's to your benefit, because then this is going to be with you always. And that's that fight mentality that we need to have, because he's already given us the tools that we need to be able to handle every situation, big or small, that comes our way. We just have to make the decision to not fly anymore. That fight or flight mentality, we have to choose to stand and fight and not fly, and not revert back to those comfort zones. And we've got to choose to dig deeper and be bolder. And I think that's what me and you have really started focusing on here lately, so that we don't repeat those same mistakes. We got to get, like you said, our feelings out of the way.
That's a lot of it.
Did you just lose your train of thought?
I did. It's going to be another one.
Oh, goodness. We've been laughing off and on all day, because I almost walked out and forgot my phone, but I had my coffee. I had the important thing. It's just been like this all morning. So
I feel like I've been like this for the past 2 weeks.
Not much sleep.
No.
A lot of going, not much sleep, a lot of ministering. So
I do. I think we walk by feelings more than we walk by faith. A lot of times.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So sorry.
Excuse you.
Yeah, excuse me. Inside joke. We walk by feelings.
We walk by feelings instead of walking by faith, and knowing that his plan is bigger and it's greater and it's better than anything we could ever imagine. We forget that, and we want it now. We want it how we want it. No changes. This is what we think, and we get discouraged, and we get to walking in that flesh, because he's kind of pulling the bridle back a little bit and saying, hang on, like something better, something bigger's coming. But we don't want to wait for that. We don't want
That's good.
We don't want to wait for the bigger, better result. We want what we want, when we want it, how we want it, and we want it now.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's the same thing with buying a car or buying a house. It's so frustrating when you go and you find the perfect one, and then they're like, no, or somebody else buys it, or whatever, and then you finally find the one, and you still have to wait those days, and it's just, we don't like to wait. We don't like to be told not right now, I think, is the biggest thing. Sometimes no is better than not right now.
Yeah, and I think we were like that concerning something that recently popped up in our life. We were kind of waiting around for a couple of weeks to hear an answer, or we didn't really know how long we were going to wait. It turned out to only be a week or two, but I mean,
Not like an eternity.
we didn't know how long we were going to have to wait it out. And that in limbo, as we called it, was the hardest part for us to wait out, because it was something very large scale for us at the moment. It was something that had our family disrupted, and not in a bad way, but just in a way to where there was no securities or stabilities at the moment. We were literally what we call around our neck of the woods in limbo, and so we didn't know what was going to happen. And finally, when we got the call and we got the answer, even though it was, at this moment, the answer is no. we were relieved, and we were, but our growing season, to me, was in that way. We did not fall too far, I don't feel like. I know that there would be times when you or me, either one would get in the flesh a little bit, and the other one would step in and hold the other one accountable, and be like, no, we got to stick to our guns. We gotta do this. We got to do that. And you're like, oh yeah, we're right. Yeah. And so that helped. That we did a lot of growing in that area, I want to say, in our life. But at the same time, I mean, it's still never easy, and I don't have any proof to back all of this up. And so I need to go research it just out of curiosity's sake. But you take Adam and Eve. God says in Genesis that he created us in his image. But then we know they sinned and caused us to fall. And at that moment, they felt ashamed. They felt rejection. They felt a lot of different things. And they even knew that they were naked. And so that to me is like embarrassment or fear, which are other emotions. So to me, and like I said, don't take this to the bank. I'm just spitballing here. I'm going to say that when God created us, emotions were not a part of the game. It wasn't until our parents sinned, or our ancestors, however you want to call it, that emotions came into the game. So emotions are from the enemy, if the way I'm looking at it. And then I said, don't quote me. I want to research this out and dig it out. But to me, that's what that's saying. And so, yeah. And so to me, what I'm getting from all that is that we didn't know emotion. We weren't able to operate under emotion. That it's the world system and the world's way is what emotions are. That which would explain a lot of this that we're seeing today with all the different activists that are rearing their head with the gays and the transgenders, and they're fighting for their rights, and our world is, to me, turning soft because we're basing everything on emotion, and we've thrown morals and we've thrown principles out the window, and it's, well, don't offend anybody, don't upset anybody, don't say anything that stands up for your beliefs on the other side because it may offend somebody. Those are all, to me, emotions. We're dealing with people's emotions, and if that's the reason that our country's falling down and all of this crazy stuff is overwhelming, then to me, that's of the world and of the devil, not of God. So we need to stay away from emotions and things like that anyway. And to me, that's exactly what Paul was describing when he was writing these letters to all the churches in Rome and Galatia and Ephesus and Corinth, and even to Timothy and some of the other ones, was, the difference between walking in what he called the flesh and walking in the Spirit. Walking in the Spirit of God means, doing things God's way, following God's principles, God's rules, the kingdom of God, his will and the way of doing things, not the flesh. So, I mean, that's just kind of what I get out of all that.
It'd be interesting to go back and research that out, really kind of see where that falls and how that falls, because, I did it's been a while back though, I did a thing on shame, and that's where that came from, and that's where that started, was in the garden.
Yes.
It's when they realized they were naked, they were full of shame.
That's a good word. I didn't think about that one. Yeah, shame. That's awesome.
It's neat to look back on that and think about that, because, they were milling around. They were naked, they weren't clothed, and they weren't shameful until they sinned.
Right.
So, maybe sin brings in emotion, maybe.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah, I think that maybe it. And I encourage you, I know a lot of pastors may be worried about job security, and they kind of keep their learning tools to themselves. But a great pastor friend of ours in Colorado told me about this one. I didn't even know it existed. I've always tried to find the Greek Hebrew interlinear Bible. I can't talk today. But he told me of one, and I've used it a lot. It's free to download, even on Apple. Is the Blue Letter Bible, and you can put it on your tablet, on your smartphones, on your computer, and it actually you can't download every version of the Bible that's out there on that one, but you can put a lot of them on there, and then it also has the interlinear Bible place, and you can highlight and take notes and do all this over in the little icon area. But it helps me a lot go back and dig, and you can find the root word of things like in the Greek or the Hebrew. It gives the Strong's references. It gives a lot of stuff like that, and it helps me dig it out. So I encourage you, if you're out there watching, download that. It's a great tool to help you guys not just take my word for it or the pastor's word for it, but you can go dig it out yourself. And that's what is a big part of our ministry is, we want to go around as many places as people will allow us to, and not only share our testimony, but help teach people how. Bear with us.
I thought we were doing good.
We were doing great. Hey, there we are. But it helps. We want to help people learn how to grow, and that's a big thing for me. I want to teach you how to grow. I'm not worried about job security. I don't think about things like that. I just want to tell as many people that'll listen. This is what we've done that works, and this is what we've done that hasn't, and take it for what you will. What?
Yeah, a lot.
I'm going to sit here and tell you exactly what I've done that hasn't worked. Maybe it'll work for you, but I'm saying it didn't work for me. Or, hey, this really helped me in my time of need. This really helped me out when I was at my worst,
Going back and making those same bad decisions.
Yes, exactly.
On your do-overs. We've done that a lot. We get so far, and then it's like, go back to my comfort zone. This is what I know. And that's what we do. We go straight back to what we knew. Even though we knew it was wrong.
Right.
It was still comfortable. So you go back to that comfort.
I would second guess. I'd be like, well, maybe I quit too soon. Our old pastor, I'm going to back up a second. The pastor in Colorado that I was talking about is Darren and Lynette Gleckhorn. So if you're in the Colorado area around Greeley, go hit them up. Go visit them. They're great people. I just forgot to add that in when we had our little wreck there. But our old pastor, Monty Price, back in Midland, when we were, infants in the Christian walk, he used to say this thing about Christians quit reading too early. And so, I would think that. I would be like, okay, I messed up. I was on the right track, and I was going, and then I slipped and fell, and I got discouraged and turned off and went a different route. So maybe I just quit too early, and I would go right back down the same path again, and then the enemy would knock me off again. When in turn, I think a lot of times that should have been a red flag for me to maybe think, this may not be the right course. I'm thinking that I'm getting resistance from the enemy, and that's the reason that I'm getting knocked off my horse, so to speak. So I'm just going to keep going, and you're kind of like, Wile E. Coyote. You keep making the same stupid mistakes trying to catch that road runner, when instead there is a smarter way to do it if we would stop and think and listen and research.
Yes.
So sometimes it is that we quit too early, and sometimes that's not the right course. Maybe what we think is the devil, or we're giving credit to the devil, and we continue to go down, is maybe actually God saying, don't go this way. This didn't work. Like, I've got a different way, but we are not listening and seeking and trying to figure it out. And that's why we
I think the enemy gets way too much credit.
Yeah.
I think we're like, oh, it's just the enemy. Oh, it's just the enemy. When in all actuality, a lot of times it's God saying, no, stop. I've welded that door shut.
Right.
Like, knock it off. You said it the other day. You were talking about if you spend too much time focusing
Well, it was taught to us that, or to me, if you want to learn the right way, don't go research the wrong way. And the reason being is, like, you take the enemy, for example. If you go and you try to learn about the enemy by hanging out with the enemy, by living the enemy's lifestyle, you're going to get drawn into that. It's going to suck you in. So, like, in other words, you don't want to go learn about drug people, whatever. You don't want to go learn about addicts by shooting up and experiencing that way, because you're going to get sucked into that lifestyle.
Right.
It's better that you, that you learn what is the right way, so when the wrong way presents itself, you know it.
Right. I just think he gets too much credit. I think we're like, oh, the enemy's just attacking us. And I'm not saying he's not, because we're definitely fighting a spiritual warfare battle.
Yes.
But, like, quit focusing on that. Like, you already know the end result. You already know that he won.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, you just have to remind him of his place and go on. And I think we spend a lot of time dwelling in that enemy's got me down, enemy's attacking me, that we forget, and we get so bogged down by that we forget that we're not defeated. You know, we're not. We're sons and daughters of the Almighty, and he's already won this war. It's another way to keep you stagnant. Nothing maybe even really happening to you. You're just going through life, but you're in that place of stagnancy, complacency. And so you start making the same decisions because you're in the same spot, because you're just being stagnant and complacent. And I think that was our big deal too during our time of limbo, was to not become stagnant and not become complacent. Like, whether that was a yes or that was a no, we still have a job to do.
Right.
And we still have a mission, and we still have a purpose. And I think so many people lose sight of their purpose because this is a no right now, or this is a not right now. And I think we start to lose sight of our purpose in that aspect. And so we start chasing things on our own and going out and trying to get it on our own.
Oh, absolutely. And just to add to what you were saying, when you were talking, this came to mind. Glenn used to always have this thing that he said all the time, and it made sense, but I never really got it until probably the last 5 years. It's really sunk in for me. Was he said, you were talking about giving the devil more credit, but he always said this, and I've run across a lot of people that this fits, because they are so, he used to always say, you can never be too heavenly minded that you're of no earthly good. And I would run across a lot of people that are so into their spiritual walk that they're not moving. And I know that's hard to think about, but hear me out, because you get somebody that does nothing but listen to all these great people that come on, and I'm talking like the Joyce Myers, the T.D. Jakes, the Creflo Dollars, the Joseph Princes. They get so tuned in. I mean, they listen to it 24/7, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. What I'm arguing is their method of going out, because they're walking around so built up and so empowered and lifted up that people they can't be a witness for people, to people, because it's actually a deterrent when you walk up on this person and you almost feel like they think they're floating around like Alibaba, you know what I mean? And you cannot do that, because it's going to not only hinder your ministry, whoever God's called you to be, but it's also going to affect your life, and it's going to keep you making mistakes. And even though God has maybe given you a fresh beginning, you're still continuing down that path. So when the enemy attacks again, you aren't thinking. God gave us a brain. So you have to think, okay, this is when I need to see things this way or that way or whatever, and pray things out and walk things out according to this. And you're so caught up in that that you're not effective in your own life or anybody else's. And I think that's where we make mistakes as well.
And I think too, with that comes that spirit of I don't want to say jealousy. Oh my goodness. Coveting.
Oh, yes.
You're coveting that. You're coveting what those people have. A lot of times you get into that mindset that if you are listening to it, you start to become, is it covetous? Is that right?
Covetous, I think, is, I don't know. We're not English people. We're not English people here.
I know when I get there, I get that a lot. I kind of have to back myself off, and I have to be careful who I listen to. When I listen to them, and I kind of have to be careful about that with myself, because it's kind of like social media. It can suck you in and take you different places that you probably shouldn't go. You kind of have to be careful with that, but that is true. You get to be that so lifted up and so boasted up that you can't come back down and deal with true earthly things that are going on, because they're going on. They're all around us. People are struggling with something every single day.
Yeah. Well, and like we're saying, I mean, you can get so lifted up and so built up in a way that, I mean, we are on this world. The Bible says, though you are in this world, you're not of this world. And I think that's imperative that we take that in full context. We are in this world. You are. Jesus did deal with earthly issues. I'm sure he dealt with jealousy as a kid. I'm sure he dealt with anger. I'm sure he dealt with frustration and sadness. I mean, we know he did. It talks about him weeping that he didn't want to die on the cross. So therefore, he dealt and went through a lot of the same things that we're dealing with on a normal basis, that we don't want to do every day, that anxiety. Why else would he say in Matthew's gospel, you know, if you, some versions don't say it this way, but if you look it up in the Greek, it goes back and it does. He says, you know, 6:34, be anxious for nothing. Or excuse me, you know, don't worry about today or tomorrow. Excuse me. He says, don't worry about tomorrow, for today has problems of its own. And you look that up in the Greek, and that word used there is anxious. So I know he dealt with anxiety. So those are certain things that we know he had to take on to be. And in the same boat, we need to look at that as well.
Yes.
We are in this world. We're going to deal with earthly problems. You're going to deal with bills. You're going to deal with government. You're going to deal with, you know, all kinds of things. When I got born again, I did not get a free pass to speed up and down the interstate. I still have to obey the laws of the state that I'm in. That's just the way it is. And so remember that going forward, and that we're going to have to face these things, and it's imperative our best course of action is to not make the same mistakes over and over and over. Make the mistake, sure, learn from it, grow from it, and be better from it.
Right.
A big hunter that's humongous out in the world of hunting and fitness is Cam Hanes, and his deal is always, I want to be better today than I was yesterday. And while I don't agree with everything that he says all the time, that is one thing that I have spent a lot of time trying to follow, is I want to be better today than I was yesterday.
Right.
At everything I do.
Absolutely. That's new. I was looking at that. Sorry.
Yes, we're on the road, in case you can't tell. I'm surprised you didn't tag me for the license plate games back there,
I
because
thought about it.
we passed about 3 or 4 big states that we could have gotten credit for. And for you know, yes, I'm on a point system. Everybody says, no, you don't do that, but I do. I'm going to make it fun, so. I know.
Anyway.
They disagree, but yet they follow and they play along.
I know,
so.
and I almost said something about all those cows laying down on the goat too.
Oh,
I did.
since it's supposed to rain.
anybody else?
I truly, if you've ever heard this, please text or email. She's always saying if we pass somewhere and all the cattle are laying down, that it's fixing to rain. Sometimes she's been right, sometimes she's been wrong, but I want to know if anybody else has ever heard
I
that.
don't think I've been wrong. Yeah.
Think of it how you want to. Think of it how you want to.
Well, what did you want to do today?
Hey,
Guess we're gonna fight today.
guess so. Oh goodness, but I need to remind you what we're talking about. If God gives you a new beginning, don't keep making the same mistakes. The same old mistakes. Yes, we are like this all the time, folks. Whether the camera's rolling or not. It happens all the time. My mother, honestly, I'll run a rabbit. That's what us pastors call taking a side note or fill a time. We call them running rabbits, but my mother used to always struggle. She never could tell if we were serious, like fighting and really at each other's throat, or just giving each other crap, and it used to drive her crazy. I guess she wasn't used to that. We've always been that way. Whoever marries our kids, I'm just giving y'all fair warning right now on camera, you better be tough. Because this family all operates this way. We're going to give you crap. If you screw up, we're going to make fun of you, and we're going to show it to everybody we can.
Yes.
It's just the way that we are. If we don't do that, you're probably not fitting in, and it means you probably aren't welcome. No, I'm just kidding.
Are you?
No, I'm just kidding. Anybody's welcome at any time, but I'm going to give you crap.
But you really will know when we're fighting. Like, it's not. I don't think that's a mistake.
No.
That's why I never could figure out why she was always like, "No, for real." No, you'll know.
Normally, when we're mad or fighting, we're normally quiet. We're normally not mouthing off or giving each other, crap. It's normally a silent thing.
Yeah, until one of us explodes, and then it's 80 by the door.
Yep, that's it.
But,
Oh, it's all in good fun, and I know we got way off track, but
that's okay.
I think it's good. I think people need to see the real us.
It's how our brains work. It's always 10 steps ahead to the left or to the right. That's probably why we've fallen off track so many times, and we've had to go back and repeat, and we've had to go back and do things because we get like 10 steps ahead of God.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
And we're like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I didn't take go that far yet."
Yeah, it's kind of like, back when I used to help Dad when I was younger, go gather the herd. We had cows to work, whatever. You get to chasing something and you get focused on that, and you look up and you're nowhere near the rest of the herd, and it's imperative that you look up every once in a while. It's fine to have your nose to the grindstone, but look up every once in a while. I know I've made a lot of mistakes in that area, and that's what's caused me to repeat the same mistake. You don't know you're doing it at the time, but then you look up and you're like, "Oh man, I did it again." You know what I mean, or whatever. And so I think that's good to look up every once in a while, take a break from it, recognize where you are before you're too far off course.
Yes, absolutely.
And I also think it's imperative that you do study as much as you can and dig in as much as you can. And I'm not just talking about listening to people. That was one of the questions that I was asked here recently. Who all do you listen to? And I felt like I was getting judged based on my answer. And that's fine. I mean, that's how some people are. And that's fine. I'm not saying there's bad. For me, I don't listen to a lot. I do take it in spells because I'm more of a hands-on, self-taught kind of person, and I learn better. I truly do. Just by hearing from God on my own. Reading things, seeking things out. I truly learn better on my own. And so I think that's important. It's fine to listen to these people and get as much knowledge as you can from them, but I do think it's also important that you search things out on your own. You research things, you study things, pray. However you can, find a way to talk to God on your own.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't have all that in the beginning, and they were really great at being exemplary ministers for the kingdom of God. You think about Paul. He didn't have Creflo Dollar or T.D. Jakes to plug into.
Right.
You afraid it's going to fall?
I figured it would.
Oh. She doesn't like my driving, apparently.
I didn't say that.
But, you know, they didn't have all of that. And so they still were exemplary in everything that they did. So I kind of took that to heart for myself in a way. And I got to where I'm like, these people are great. But sometimes, especially in the beginning, they were so far over my head. Some of the things that, you know, that Bishop Jake talks about, it's, I mean, miles over my head. Creflo Dollar and Joseph Prince. I had a hard time plugging into them because they're so far ahead of me.
Yeah.
And they were talking and I'm just like, whoa, I've got a lot of work to do. And so I would go and I would dig and I would research and I would study and read and pray and ask God to, you know, reveal things because it didn't make sense to me.
Right.
And so I think it's important that we do that as another crucial way to keep from making the same mistakes over and over and over.
Right. Absolutely.
Do it yourself. And if you need help, find those pastors, find those people in your life that you think of and think highly of and that have a solid integrity about themselves and grow.
Right.
Because those things are important. Paul was specific to Timothy in those in the letters to Thessalonica. I can't even talk today. And First Timothy, he's talking about integrity is a big thing. You've got to be under somebody with lots of integrity that is really tested and tried and true in the gospel, not just somebody that calls themselves a pastor. You know, and I think it's important if you do something like that, you go to somebody like that. Me personally, I think they need to have some salt about them. I think they need to have some trials and tribulations under their belt.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Clinton Anderson talking about, you know, horses and training horses. He gives reference to a Marine. If you got dropped off with a Marine overseas, you want that Marine to have some battle underneath him. If you're going to follow him.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you got two blind people leading each other and it's not going to work.
Right.
You know, if this guy is kind of young, I don't know how much he's going to be able to help you. He's still going through some things on his own, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely.
So, I know I went left, but that's what I do. But I think it's tying everything back in, I hope.
You never know where we're going to go.
You don't. And that's why people still watch, I guess. I guess we're entertaining, maybe. I don't know. But, you have anything else?
I don't.
Awesome. Well, guys, we thank you. This has been fun. This has been different. So,
yeah,
we're excited. Maybe we'll do a live going home. So,
fun.
that means something different.
Fun.
All right. Well, if you need us, reach out to us, quinttministries@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media, Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
So, until next time, we love you guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.